Ricky, you can walk.
What'd you just say?
He's telling you the truth, man. It's all in your head.
You sick sons of bitches. I mean, you walk in that door on your two legs all fat and cocky and looking at me in my chair, and you tell me it's all in my head? I hope that both of you have sons, handsome, beautiful, articulate sons who are talented and star athletes, and they have their legs taken away. I mean, I pray you know that pain and that hurt.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby! Don't you put that on us! You are not paralyzed!
You want to know what I am? You want to see what my life is?
Don't you stick that knife in your leg.
Ow! Ow! Man! Ow!
Well, hold on.
Ow!
Welcome to the Rhythm Section, a Memphis music podcast produced by SRP Studios, podcasting, srpstudiosllc.com.
Catch new episodes every Tuesday morning on Apple and Spotify, 6 p.m. Central on YouTube and Facebook, and 7:30 p.m. on radio-memphis.com.
And follow us at therhythmsectionpod.com for all channel links and episodes.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Derrick. My buddy Jeff here. With me, as always, coming in all smiley.
I try.
All right. Great show today. We got Ronnie Knight,
Yes.
drummer for Rock the Boat. But
Yes.
boy, a plethora of
And
things.
dude, I had no idea about his history.
Yes.
A lot of stuff I learned.
More on him after our ad break. And next week, we're going to have Bobby Ireland, currently the drummer for Hairspray Nation. And I know he's going to come in with a bunch of stories. Has not been filmed yet as we film this.
Right.
But I know he's going to bring the goods because he's, like Ronnie, guy that goes way back
Yep.
to the stage stop and
he's
everything in between.
He's our last interview of the season.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
So today's episode is number 98.
Right.
Next week, Bobby Ireland, 99.
Man, yeah.
And then July 1st will be episode 100. So you'll see everything that we did at Roosters. You're not going to have a typical intro like this. It's just going to be that show.
Right.
And then we're going to wrap things up Tuesday, July 8th, where me and Jeff we're going to take an opportunity to wrap the season up, talk about it, thank our sponsors, our guests for the season, and then go away for a minute.
For a much needed break.
Go away for a couple months. Definitely going to ramp things back up early September. So.
And I've already got some really good ideas on some interviews.
All right.
I need to run those by you.
We will have fun doing that.
Scott Sudbury.
Yeah, man. Come on, let's go. He always says yes, he's into it.
Yep.
All right. But today we have a special interview in our intro, as we do sometimes. If we want to give someone a quick promotion on something that's timely, Eric Graham, drummer for Deadfall Road, came in last week, and we recorded it last week, saved it for this week, because last episode we wanted to recap our 100 episode filming at Roosters. So he came in to talk about their reunion show, which is July 4th. It's called Concert Under the Trees. It's going to start at 4 p.m. with special guests, Your Mom's New Boyfriend at 4:30. Deadfall Road starts at 8 p.m. It's going to be at 1020 Borough Cemetery Road, Arlington, Tennessee. They are celebrating the digital debut of Deadfall Road's Come What May, which will be releasing shortly after this event.
Right.
But check them out at deadfallroad.band. But we're going to let our interview with Eric give you more details, more history on him, and these kids that, play in this band. I mean, they're still kids to us, but, as the history, and you'll learn, I mean, this is a band that started like 2008 when they were all teenagers and everything, but you'll learn more here at this in this interview. So we're going to plug this in right now, and we'll be right back after this interview.
Great Scott!
All right, we have a special guest in our intro today. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Eric Graham in the house, everybody.
Howdy.
Yes. Deadfall Road in the house. We're here to talk about a show coming up, as we've already mentioned in this intro. Eric, thank you for being here.
I really appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
And thanks to your dad for reaching out to us. He was the one that kind of got into this with us, right?
Since the beginning, he's always been instrumental in setting everything. Administration and promotion, that man is he wears too many hats.
That's awesome, though.
That's great.
That support is wonderful.
Absolutely.
And we've already mentioned this in one other episode. When we interviewed Preston Jones, we talked about this show.
That's right. Yeah, so a couple episodes ago, Preston Jones was our feature interview, and we're going to talk about how they're part of this show too. But yes, once again, a reunion show, July 4th. It's called Concert Under the Trees. 8 p.m. start with special guest, Your Mom's New Boyfriend. The party starts at 4. Your Mom's New Boyfriend, 4:30. And then Deadfall Road at 8 p.m. start. 1020 Borough Cemetery Road, Arlington, Tennessee. And we're celebrating the digital debut of Deadfall Road's Come What May. All right, so let's get some history now. All right, so tell us more about Deadfall Road, and I know you guys formed in 2008-ish.
Yes, sir.
So you still look like a young fella, regardless of the beard and badass mustache, by the way.
I appreciate it. Thank
It's
you.
on point for sure.
But when on your website, you guys were kids, weren't you?
Yes, I was 13.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
So a lot of our music was recorded between the time I was 13 to 15, because the band was around for about 5 years. So we met in high school. A story as old as
That's
time.
awesome.
And gathered band members from different high schools, met some guys, over summer, and eventually put the lineup that we have today together. Sans, the bass player Preston was the last guy that we got to lock in because, of course, as a rock band, you go through a couple of bass players. Right. I guess that's just a rite of passage.
Did they blow up like the drummer for Spinal Tap?
Oh, man, spontaneously combusted on stage. Such a good movie.
There it is. Yeah, your bass player's name is Preston Jones, not to be confused with Preston Jones,
Lead singer for Your Mom's New Boyfriend.
Yeah.
Our Preston Jones is just a tremendous friend. He's been there with us for the longest time, and he might not have started the band with us, but he is the de facto bass player for Deadfall.
Nice. So I see the shows in Arlington. Is that kind of where y'all are based out of, that area?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We were in Bartlett and Arlington, pretty much. We practiced out in Arlington, and both cities were our stomping ground back in the day. Because we had guys going to Bolton, Bartlett, and Arlington High. So we were all bouncing around between those three places, hanging up flyers and trying to get our friends to come to shows.
Nice. So teenagers, that's great, keeping it alive for everybody. The kids doing it like Land Divided out there and under the radar back in the day with these just young kids. And from looking at your bio, boy, you guys did some big shows.
We tried.
I mean, you opened up for some big acts. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking on your website, you played festivals like Rockapalooza in Jackson.
That's Michigan.
Michigan. Okay. And
Minerva Fest in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Yep.
With huge metropolitan area.
Sharing the stage with Egypt Central, Seven Dust, Framing Hanley, August Burns Red, and more. But when I see Seven Dust in there, that's pretty awesome, man. That's huge.
Yes, and it was huge for me because I'm hoping I don't blank on his name. Is it Morgan Rose? Is that the drummer for Seven Dust?
I am not familiar.
It's been years since I was enthralled by, and if I got his name wrong, I'll feel bad about it later. But I watched that man play on stage from backstage, and just as a young drummer, had my mind blown by just the absolute raw power and precision of that band. And I was never a Seven Dust fan, but I walked away from the stage that day, going through their catalog and trying to find out how he did this and how he did that, and that was great. But man. That's a story, because then at the show for 4th of July, when y'all come see it, hopefully you guys will be there. There's the stage that we're going to play on is a creation of my father's. He, like I said, he wears many hats. He's a contractor by trade, but he's got welders out in the shop. He does automotive work, and we needed a stage for an event, and my dad manufactured one. Off of a gooseneck trailer.
I saw a photo of that on Facebook or somewhere, and it looks pretty damn amazing.
It all stacks up on the trailer, flat packs like an IKEA package.
Right.
And that is how little 15-year-old kids got to go play with Seven Dust. They were looking for a mobile stage, and I guess they had heard about ours, and they called, and there was one stipulation to play that show is if you want our stage, Deadfall comes with it.
Hell yeah, way to go, Dad.
Hell yeah.
Now, you mentioned IKEA. Are the instructions setting up this stage better than what you get with IKEA?
They are proprietary and locked inside my father's head.
Yeah. Nice. I like that.
Yes, it is all hand built.
Well, way to go, Dad. I mean, that's great. Hey, Dad, we need a stage. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Let's build one.
And of course, it says here, Egypt Central. We've interviewed Chris Tebaldo from Egypt Central.
I didn't. I'm sure he mentioned that band. I did not remember that. Okay. Yeah. Very cool. So, yeah, you got to share some stage with some heavy hitters at a young age.
It was a great time, too.
Very cool. We listened to your stuff.
Yeah, I listened to 2 because your dad sent an email with several songs on it. I haven't had time to listen to all of them. Yeah. But I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here. Great stuff. I mean, it is very well produced, sounds amazing, professional.
When you're sharing a stage with a band like Seven Dust, you guys are obviously heavy, at least what we listen to.
Oh, yeah.
You guys
definitely some rock. Big rock in there.
No, a lot.
Well, people stretch the word in that rock, the genre, into so many different ways nowadays. Whenever I say rock, even am I talking about this or that? Super heavy, super light.
I mean,
a lot of people would say Seven Dust is rock. I think
it's hard
Dust
rock.
Is freaking metal.
Yeah.
Or
The Joker is rock and roll. Yeah. So this subgenre is in there. Yep. But you guys are heavy hitters for sure. So we right now, again, the single is Come What May.
Yes, sir.
And it's on all digital platforms.
It's going to be. We're kind of keeping it close to the chest right now.
Okay.
Before the show, and then it's going to all platforms right after the show.
Nice.
Okay.
Trying to see how many CDs we can sell ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good call.
All right. So so the show again is on the 4th of July. So sometime mid-July or so, you'll probably make this announcement at the show, and you're setting it up that way. But you do have work published now. I know you can go to the website deadfallroad.band. And I watched one of the videos that's embedded in there from YouTube. It's called Now and Then. It's a cool lyric video, and it shows all kinds of old pictures of you kids.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yes, sir.
So tell us, what was that first show like? Okay, how long did you guys rehearse? Did you start playing covers, or did you start writing right out of the gate? What was the inception like?
The very first show?
Yeah.
Okay. In our practice space in my dad's backyard, he's got a building that he used to build race cars and go-karts for racing dirt tracks in. And it got cleared out shortly after I wanted to be in a band. I started bringing guys over, and there was stuff in the way, and the automotive stuff left the building, and band stuff started to come in, and we started collecting speakers and gear. And my dad saw that we were serious because I could have been playing video games or doing anything else, but I kept having these guys over 2 or 3 days a week, their moms and dads.
You wanted to support that. Yeah.
Yep. And we started to learn covers, and shortly after learning 2 or 3 cover songs, we started writing originals, and they were, on the scale, they were probably pretty trash compared to, what you'd be looking for on a modern rock record. But
we got to start somewhere,
exactly.
Man. Yeah.
And they loved it so much that we're out there practicing one day, probably the 3rd or 4th practice of the week, and all of a sudden 8, 10, 15 people walk in. My dad has brought a group of like 15, 20 people to our practice space, and we clam up the second he walked. We're like, what's going on here? And he's like, no, son, go ahead and show these guys your music.
Right.
And it's, just close friends and family. Cool. And everybody in that room pretty much turned out to be, the closest supporters of the band, our roadies and our best friends, and, the people that were at every show. And
sure.
That first show, I guess, really wasn't a show. But I'm trying.
Hey, you were put on the spot.
Yep.
In front of an audience.
Had to play for some folks.
It changes the element. The minute you have an audience, it's a show, as far as I'm concerned.
So now I have another question along those same lines. The first time that you guys, obviously, by the time you're opening for Egypt Central or any of the Seven Dust, you're not green anymore. You've got a lot of practice and a lot of experience. How nervous were you the first time you hit a stage to open for a big name band? Because I would have been petrified.
And you're just kids too,
right?
The way that the festival was set up with Seven Dust was there were multiple stages, and they had shut down all stages but 2 at the end of the night. And it was going to be Egypt Central on the main stage, and then our stage was right here. So Egypt Central stops, and then the whole crowd just gets to turn 90 degrees, watch us, turn 90 degrees again to watch Seven Dust.
That way you can have a quick turnaround in between bands.
Yes, sir.
Very cool.
And we we are informed that our time slot is cut short due to technical issues.
Okay.
So we go from like a 7-song set down to like a 5-song set. So hearing all that, having to scramble at the last minute to pull some songs out, and how nervous was I? My heart was beating out of my chest.
Sure.
And I didn't used to play to a click track back in those days, and the click was my heart. You can see over the years of me playing drums that how intense the show is for me. There's like a 3 to 5 tempo boost on every song. Sometimes in the worst cases, maybe 10 tempo. We go from a rock band to a punk band sometimes when I was playing.
Is your singer looking back at you like, dude, I can't get the words out?
We have most definitely had some times where pull it down.
Yeah,
but we didn't.
And that's when you blame the bass player. He's pushing me.
This guy's
all over the place.
But yeah, it was definitely. We went from playing, around town at bars, and we played at Neil's and Newbies, but we played a couple of festivals, and seeing the festival crowd where you can't even count the number of people, and you have no idea where the crowd ends. Definitely. Like I said, I was
it amps things up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you say now you play to a click. That means you still play. I know there's a reunion here, and we'll talk about how you guys can't really play much these days. But are you still individually playing in other projects? Is music still something that you're pursuing?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I was a drummer for many years after Deadfall, and then Deadfall stopped, and I hopped in a country project for a minute, tried to get back on my feet.
Yeah.
And then I was in a metal band for a while called The Falling Out. We put a record out, and I played with them for 3 or 4 years. And then once that band ended, took a hiatus, and I wasn't a drummer for like over 5 years.
Got it.
Just kind of, I got a wrist injury, like most drummers do. I never learned classically how to play the drums, meaning like I was never in drum line, nothing like that. So I don't have good wrist technique, and playing rock drums, slamming them.
Which wrist went?
Oh, the right one.
Because of the hi-hat hand?
I'm not sure if it's that or just I wish I had the technique. Now that I'm older and I'm going back and I'm playing the drums, I'm watching my technique and I'm trying to make sure I'm not overdoing myself. And but I wish 15-year-old me would have had that same idea.
You just wanted to bash, man.
We were practicing 3 days a week or more and playing shows probably Friday and Saturday every weekend when I was in Deadfall. So we were nonstop. I was 10, 15 hours a week on the drums, which is, I think, probably kind of ridiculous.
No, not at all. That's what makes you great. You got to practice. You got to put the work in.
Absolutely.
So, aside from this reunion, are you personally trying to ramp back up and get into other bands? Is this something you want to do again?
I'm not sure, because I've had to resurrect an old piece of myself to learn how to play the drums again. Because with the wrist injury and not playing music for 5 or so years, having to get back into it and seeing who I used to be and who I am today, and having that that divide, wanting to hit that fill and coming short on it, and having to go back to the drawing board and be like, all right, I'm putting ankle weights on.
Yeah, man, 5-6 years is a long layoff
absolutely.
for a musician. So and you realize quickly how your chops can disappear.
I just sit back on the kit with ankle weights on and just practice double bass for like 2 or 3 weeks just to hit some licks that I as a kid I thought we could do this twice as fast. We ramped this up, and now I'm like, what? How did I do that?
Well, at 55 years old, if I put ankle weights on, it's over. I'm just done. I won't play anymore.
Sinking.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So, real quick, again, we have David Hoffman, Blake Leonard, you, Eric Graham on drums, Preston Jones on bass, the bass player Preston Jones.
The young Preston.
The young Preston, there you go. Not the old Preston.
No. Preston Jones from Your Mom's New Boyfriend, such a good dude.
Yeah, we had a very fun time with him.
I can't be called saying anything bad about that guy.
Again, deadfallroad.band. Go check them out so you can see what you're getting into, because then you're going to go to the concert Under the Trees on July 4th at 1020 Borough Cemetery Road, Arlington, Tennessee. The party starts at 4. Your Mom's New Boyfriend at 4:30, and then Deadfall Road at 8 p.m. They're celebrating their soon-to-be-released single, Come What May. We wish we had more time. This would be fun to learn more about you guys.
And like I told your dad, I do hope to get by for a little while.
We'd love to have you.
I can't stay for the whole thing. I've got my mother-in-law is in the hospital, got some things going on there. We were originally supposed to be out of town that weekend, and I told your dad there was no way I could make it. Now that I'm going to be in town, I'm going to try to swing by for a little while because you guys are phenomenal. I want to see you live. I want to see if you hold up to those recordings because they're pretty damn good. Yeah. So
they were done in in a bedroom in our house.
Awesome.
So.
Nice.
That's cool, man.
And we don't expect to see ankle weights.
No ankle weights.
Not on stage. No,
By that time, they're shedded, man. They're gone.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys drink? Does the band drink at all?
I'm pretty sure we're all of age.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure most of us do.
Well, I asked because my wife usually drives me, and so I might partake. And
are you questioning if there's alcohol at this event?
Well, no, I wasn't questioning that. But sometimes bands they're playing, they don't want to drink. But
I'll be drinking after the show myself.
There you go.
There you go.
I like to keep a clear head while I'm playing.
I get it.
And then the party afterwards can go wherever it's going to go.
Right.
And I say don't play to a click. Race, up, down, whatever. Just jam, man.
Let's go.
I mean, have fun because the click can be a little restricting. So just enjoy it. Feel it out.
The way that I do the click is I always keep the activation by the drummer so that if it does start to do something, if the band falls out or I fall out, I just turn it off. Yep.
Oh, there you go.
That's the way to do it.
All right, y'all. Eric Graham, everybody. Deadfall Road, deadfallroad.band. Check them out on the 4th of July.
Get to this show.
Yes.
We'd love to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, man.
Thank y'all very much.
Great Scott!
All right. Thanks again to Eric for joining us. Again, check them out, deadfallroad.band.
And look, I'm going to tell you right now, they sent us music a while back just so we could hear what they sent. It's just really good. If you don't know who these guys are, you need to check them out. They're the real deal. It's not some BS. They're killing it.
It'll be a good time.
Yep.
All right. Need custom images, logos, shirts, magnets, and stickers that pop. Boom. Look no further than Images for You.
Steve Owens delivers top-notch DTF and sublimation designs, perfect for bands, businesses, and podcasts. Images for You brings your brand, I always say band right there, to life.
And both work.
Yeah, they both work.
He can bring your band to life as well.
Right.
Call Steve today at 901-870-6846 and let your image speak loud and clear, everyone. Pay attention. DeSoto Local is a digital advertising network throughout DeSoto County. They have moved their outdoor billboard concept indoors to high-traffic areas, connecting local businesses to their customers.
Their indoor billboards are in popular places all over town. These screens display full-motion ads about the business hosting the screen, ads for local businesses in the area, and relevant local content.
Advertise your business today with DeSoto Local. Contact Brandy Faulkner today at 901-831-3212 and visit DeSotoLocal.biz. Area 51.
Yeah. Was there I'm in the wrong spot. Area 51 is one of the premier bands in Memphis and North Mississippi, bringing you songs from classic artists such as Starship, Van Halen, Peter Gabriel, and the Cars. Keep shining with Josh Heinen.
And once again, Feel Better Lance.
Yes.
Filling in for Lance while Lance is out recuperating from a surgery is one Carlos Spicy Wiener, a.k.a. Keith Blanchard. Thursday, June 19th.
We need you to hurry up and get back, Lance, so that we don't have to say Carlos Spicy Wiener anymore.
Thursday, June 19th, Collierville Town Square, 7 to 9 p.m. Saturday, June 28th, Hadley's. And July 5th and 6th at the Gold Strike Casino. Follow them on Facebook at Area 51 Memphis.
Right. We're going to try to make Keith pay us to not say Carlos Spicy.
There you go.
All right. You want me to do it?
Oh, no. I am next, aren't I? Looking to create eye-catching branded mugs and tumblers. Tumblers? Jesus.
You're the only one I need to talk to.
Tumblers, everyone. For your business, band, podcast. Well, Katrina Owens brings your vision to life with high-quality vinyl and sublimation designs, all handcrafted with care. And my sounds have moved on me. Where is it? There it is.
Yeah. Whether it's for a birthday, business, or just because, Creations for You has your tumblers covered.
Call Katrina today at 901-870-1854 and let her create something just for you. What is this?
I feel like I should be entering the arena for my wrestling match.
What just happened? All right, so shout out to Sebastian Hines.
Yes.
This is a creation done by him, son of Tina and Kenny.
Right.
And he was on our 100th episode, and this was the walk-on music he gave to us to use for him. And I told him I'm going to use it for the show.
Nice.
So unfortunately, the season's very close to its ending, but from now on, when we do our ad break, this music is for the musician's booking agency ad as we give out band dates for
good,
this. So.
Good stripper pole music, too.
I mean, it's pretty good. Listen to that.
It is.
Bow, bow, bow. All right. Are you looking for the best live music in Memphis?
Yes.
Well, the Musicians Booking Agency connects top bands with the city's hottest venues. Whether you're booking talent or looking for gigs, they've got you covered.
Follow on Facebook at the Musicians Booking Agency for updates on upcoming shows and new artists.
Contact Steve Owens at 901-870-6846.
Shows for this week. Wednesday, June 18th, Carlos Echoes, not to be confused with Carlos Spicy Wiener, at Hadley's.
I'm glad you made that distinction.
Yes.
Could have been confused there.
Right.
Friday, June 20th, The Boneyard at Neil's and Shotgun Billy's at The Shake Rag.
Saturday, June 21st, we got 901 Rocks at Hadley's, Take 12 at Lafayette's Brian Johnson at 10th Inning.
Wow. That is a copy and paste issue there, Jeff. My bad.
I told you, anything you put in front of him, he will read it.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Formerly known as will be a gold strike.
Brian Johnson, Saturday, June 21st at 10th Inning. Okay, that's my bad, y'all.
Oh, that is so good. I'm Ron Burgundy.
We should have this down by now.
We should.
Sunday, June 22nd, formerly known as, again, at Gold Strike, and Grand Theft Audio at Hadley's.
Sunday, June 29th. Sunday Originals at Rooster's Blues House, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve Owens, for trying to put original music back in the
second
format.
one, a new one.
Sucker Punch, Triflin' Breed, and my boy Sean Few with Black 59.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. $5 cash at the door.
Yes, and then, again, we continue to push this. Looking ahead to Saturday, July 5th, we have the 4th of July blowout at Minglewood in the 1884 Lounge.
Yeah.
Doors open at 7, show at 8. $20 tickets for Roxy Blue, Every Mother's Nightmare, and Fever Tree. So check that out.
Man, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sebastian, for this music. It's cool.
It's awesome.
It's added a new element. Homegrown music.
Absolutely.
It's very cool. Real quick, before we talk about Ronnie Knight, I don't want to forget a new sound that I'm going to be introducing to the show. Again, coming late. We're almost done this season, but we got plenty more life in this podcast.
Absolutely.
Which is why my soundboard on my iPad is a little jumbled, because I've added new things to it.
Got you.
Changed the order a little bit. So we do sounds to try to, identify an emotion sometimes. Like when someone's really excited, it's like, oh, wait a minute, maybe put the fucking fader up, Derrick.
That works.
Like how I'm pissed off right now.
Yep.
So when we talk something sexy or love for somebody, we do the whistle.
Yeah.
Well, we have a second sound that identifies that.
I remember now.
Yes, thank you, Josh Haynes, for this.
That's a good one.
So when we're talking about loving someone, it's like, woo! Right. Now, listen to, I'm going to play it again. Don't laugh.
Okay.
See if you can catch something at the very end of this sound.
I heard it, but I don't.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
That is one Jimmy Fault.
Hey, yo.
That was recorded in his house.
Right.
There you go. Thanks, Josh.
Right.
All right. Ronnie Knight, everybody.
That was a doorstop, by the way. It wasn't what you're thinking.
Apologies to Ronnie for having to follow this.
Right.
Ronnie Knight from Rock the Boat,
came in and told us some amazing stories. Boy, talk about history.
Yep.
If you want to hear hear about Memphis music going all the way back into the 80s, this is the interview for you. As usual, we start with early influences. Nice story about how Tommy Pinball Wizard. Tommy Pinball Wizard, I can't remember. I should have written this down. But the Who album is what got him started. Got him interested in drums because there's an instrumental on the second half of the record that is a Keith Moon creation. Right. Just imagine that, right? He played in high school. Yep. He talks about his first recording experience. Now, his first band was with Troy Isom.
Right.
And I'm going to put the photo up right now. Boom. These are Ronnie's words.
Yep.
When he sent me this picture, he said, "Sexual chocolate and skinny Ric Flair."
That's it.
So imagine the stage stop stories that come up. Real fun stories.
We never get tired of stage stop stories.
And then, of course, we talk about Nita.
Yep.
He runs through a plethora of bands, including Tempest, 901, not 901 Rocks.
Nope.
901, Triple X, M Slider, Xavion. But then he goes into a nice long story that I appreciate him telling it about.
And being open.
Being open about this. And that's his time with Roxy Blue. It's a story that a lot of musicians have probably gone through.
Oh.
It's a story of,
without question,
kind of being let go before the band signs the dotted line on the contract.
Yep.
And in no way was this story told with no
malice,
no throwing anyone under the bus. There's no shade here. It's just a true story about how he was in Roxy Blue, basically in the formation, the very, very, very beginning,
right, up
to just before they signed their record deal. And he's going to tell the story a lot better than what we can. But it's a great story, and thank you for telling it, because it's a vulnerable thing to talk about.
Absolutely.
And then we talk about Rock the Boat and how that all came to be, and how he was like, sure, I'll play some yacht rock.
Right.
Why not?
Right.
We got through it. But again, thanks, Ronnie, for joining us. I hope you all enjoy that interview. It's full of great stories. Oh, and then Becky Croft comes in at the end to talk, and quick little thanks and recap to Thomas Halfacre and the benefit. Yep. So check that out as well. Big Note Music Lessons offers one-on-one and group lessons for guitar, bass, keys, drums, and voice. Try a free lesson now with no obligation. Visit bignotemusiclessons.com. Complete that submission form for your free lesson.
Yeah, Radio Memphis. Start your Radio Memphis day within the morning with Rick and Monica. I should know this one by now without having to read it. 9:30 to 2 p.m. Central for a wild ride of fun segments like News from the Stupid, That Guy, This Guy, and Crime Time, and more. Radio-Memphis.com.
And thank you to all who have donated. You can donate to our tip bucket by clicking our Venmo and Cash App links in the description, or search the Rhythm Section Pod on either app.
Follow us at therhythmsectionpod.com. You will see our entire catalog of amazing episodes and links to our YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram channels. That's it.
All right, y'all. Please enjoy our interview with Ronnie Knight. Thank y'all. All right, everybody, welcome to our feature interview. Let me introduce you to the great Ronnie Knight in the house, everybody. Yes, and joining us is his beautiful wife, Becky Croft, with us today. You're here to maybe facilitate, but definitely at the end of this interview, we're going to talk the Thomas Halfacre benefit, do a little recap there, and some thank yous and whatnot, and what an event that was. And it raised a good chunk of change for one Thomas Halfacre. So,
yep, awesome. We love you.
Love you, Tom.
Absolutely.
Thomas. Does he go by
G. Thomas?
No, it's Tom.
He never
Thomas.
Does he ever go by Tom? Is it Thomas?
Well,
we feel so close to you now that we're just making shit up.
Well, Ronnie Knight, thanks for doing this with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, buddy. You were actually in the calendar earlier, but you had some surgery, correct?
Penis enlargement.
Yeah. He didn't need that.
You need to ask
We were talking about getting in trouble on this show before
He
it
already
started.
said, hey, if you want to throw zingers, throw them.
Throw them my way.
Zing, zing.
It was actually, it's called a torn labrium, not a torn labia. So somebody got confused with that, but it's hip replacement for us old guys, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know how it happened, but I think it was back in December. I was doing a sub gig for Thump Daddy at Lafayette's, and I felt something weird.
Oh, no.
It's like,
There you go.
got it checked out, and that was the case.
Well, you're back at it, and you played at the event. We can talk about that later when we bring Becky in here. But yeah, so my goodness, so much to cover. Of course, you know him as the drummer for Rock the Boat, but boy, oh boy, there's a history
there's
here,
a lot more
as
there.
you would imagine. Just a old school Memphis guy here, and we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff, including Stage Stop. I'm going to spotlight that real quick because, yes, that's going to be coming up. But we want to you came in with some wonderful notes for us, so we're going to do the arc of your life. You know, starting when
This is your life.
This is your life,
Like
sir.
I said, this is either a therapy session or we'll need therapy afterwards, right?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both is right. Excuse me. So, all right. Let's start from the beginning here. You mentioned that you have a very funny, interesting early influence story when you were a young lad, right?
A young one.
Yeah, so I was always listening to music when I was even a little kid, you know, saw the Monkees on television and all that stuff. I didn't know they weren't a real band and all that. But growing up, our next door neighbor was Jerry the King Lawler.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So,
there you go.
Right around that time when he was getting into wrestling, he also worked for a radio station. I'm not sure what he was doing there. But we were little kids. We were all outside, and then Jerry shows up in his car, and he's got all these 45s, and he's just throwing them out all over the place like Frisbees.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I was probably 5 years old. I got one, and that 145 was The Who, Pinball Wizard.
There you go.
So, but on the back of it, it had something called Dogs Part 2.
Okay.
Not familiar. Yeah.
So check it out. It was written by Keith Moon, so the whole thing was pretty much an instrumental with drums to it, and that kind of caught my eye as a little kid back then. So
were all these 45s the same thing, or it was all different?
No,
stuff?
it was all different stuff. People were getting different stuff. I don't know why. You know, he got them from the radio station, was throwing them out. It was
crazy.
Right around the time he was into wrestling, you know, because I remember we would watch and he'd get his ass kicked all the time. I mean, he was young then, and then
maybe we can get Jerry to come in here and do an interview.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I ran into him about 15 years ago at a bar and spoke to him and told him, hey, you know, I lived next door to you when I was a little kid, and he's like, you know, he remembered my parents, but
okay, cool.
Thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah,
nice.
I mean, being a little kid like that, the Pinball Wizard got me into music, and then the backside of that, I think, got me into drums. And I think around 6 years old, my parents got me one of those, you know, toy drum sets.
Did you beat the shit out of it?
Oh, it was torn up within 6 months.
That's a good way to get a new one.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you're showing that you cared about it and you wanted to keep pursuing it. So we got to get them a new one.
Yeah. So, yeah, we moved up to Tipton County after that, and then back to Memphis later, and then.
Okay. So you start playing now on a regular, destroying your drum kit, and then you mentioned that you played in high school. Now, did you play in band? Did you learn school band and start playing in bands as well?
Yeah, I at first I actually started playing guitar when I was probably 13.
Okay.
I got it, you know, all the early bands. I was a big Kiss fan.
Pretty common theme.
Yeah,
around here.
You know, a lot of the other earlier bands that I got turned on to, like Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and so forth. But guitar didn't really work for me for some reason. You know, my fingers got all torn up when I was a little kid. I was like, screw this.
Yeah.
You know?
This hurts.
I'm going to go play drums that really tears up your hands, you know?
Yeah. Well, everybody knows chicks dig drummers.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
That's why we do it.
So, yeah, high school, junior high, started, snare drum, was in the marching band.
So you actually can play rudiments.
Yeah.
I can't.
Mm-hmm. So
never have been able to.
There's a book called Stick Control, if you've ever heard of it. It's got every rudiment you can think of that my band teacher had us buy when we were a kid. And as a matter of fact, about 5 years ago, I've rebought it off of Amazon just to go back and look at it and go, I used to do that.
Mm-hmm. What's it called again?
Stick Control.
Okay.
So the the one that pops in my head is the paradiddle.
Yeah.
So is it right, left, right, left, right?
Right, left, right, left, left.
See, that's what I said. This is perfect.
Something like that.
And if you watch Todd Suckerman, you'll learn all about flamadiddles.
Flamadiddles?
Yeah.
Flamacues.
That dude, man,
he's awesome.
He is the rudiment king.
I love Todd Suckerman for sure. So how about bands now? Are you starting to play in bands?
No, not really. I was in jazz band at high school. And, my band teacher, actually, this was real cool. He gave me and a buddy of mine tickets to go see Buddy Rich.
Ooh. If you want to see a jazz drummer, hello.
I knew who Buddy Rich was, seen him on the Tonight Show and all
Maniac.
that. And knew how good he was.
Yeah.
But when you're 15 years old and you're just, getting into drums and seeing him up close, that was a big deal to me.
When you were in jazz band, were they making you play with the traditional?
They tried, yeah.
Yeah, instead of matchstick, they tried the traditional.
Because we were in marching also, and we played with the traditional grip. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
My band teacher played every instrument, and he'd get behind the drums and just smoke all of us. So.
One of those aliens.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. Well, when do you start playing? What's your first high school band or just band in general? When did that start happening for you?
After I got out of high school, before that I was kind of in like garage type stuff with some guys, and the bass player that was in the jazz band in high school called me, a guy named Kenny Williams, and he said he had a band called Forest that he wanted me to check out. So happens to be that the guitar player was Troy Isom.
There you go.
So,
what's up, Troy?
Shout out to Troy Isom. Yes, sir.
So yeah, that was a fun gig. That was first paying gig. Doing a little bit of traveling and so forth. It was it's all covers, but it was fun. And but yeah, then after that, I think I kind of took a little bit of a break and jammed with this guy that I went to high school with. His name's Steve Salimi, but you guys may know him as Steve-O.
Oh, that's right. You brought this up from the Jackass group.
Yeah. So he's he's a good friend of mine and everything. And I know there's some stuff that went on at the Pete Mandela benefit, and Josh Haynes and his guitar tone was brought up and all that stuff, but
we're thinking of a different guy.
I thought, okay, not Steve-O from Jackass.
No, not that Steve.
But
this is the local guy.
But okay,
now local Jackass.
Now I want to go on record as we had nothing to do with that statement.
I'll let you say that, Becky. But okay, so I can tap in on this.
Yes, because I have a shirt that says Josh Haynes, Tone Master.
So
okay,
people that have been long listeners of this show, that has been an ongoing joke peppered throughout here and there about Josh's tone. It's been posted about, commented about on Facebook. It stems from this guy. Yes. Decided that after the Pete Mandela celebration of life that he thought he was going to give Josh a little tip.
So this guy used to be a friend of yours.
Yeah, we're still friends and everything.
Oh, sorry, man.
Not used to be.
Just we went to high school together, and that, and that's how you got playing. We found other people that played instruments and stuff like that. So,
God, this took a strange turn.
I know.
Well, now I feel dumb thinking it was Steve-O from Jackass.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, You know that guy?
So pre-show, we're writing down the notes, and he says, "Do you know who Steve-O is?" I'm like, "Steve Owens?" He's like, "No, the other Steve-O." And I'm like, "Oh, that's Steve-O." And I write it down thinking Jackass.
I know that guy. I've seen him on TV.
But then, as Becky
Breathing in
mentioned, it
people's
is
farts.
the other Jackass. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know this guy. We're getting in enough trouble these days, Jeff. So I hope we don't get in more trouble. But
Some of this.
No, it's all good.
No,
This is all lighthearted.
that's right. Take a joke, people.
I did some recording with him and a bass player named Kurt Frazier, who I ended up playing with in another band later. We recorded upstairs at Cotton Row Studios with Paul Eversold.
Okay.
It was just, amateur stuff, music, no lyrics, no singing and stuff like that, instrumental stuff.
Yeah.
After that, I think what really got me into other bands is the stage top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a common theme.
Mm-hmm.
So, after I became, the drinking age, or a little bit before that.
As was the case with many of us.
Yeah.
I went there. They had bands there, every night of the week.
Yeah.
The place was packed, and you start getting networking with people, and you knew what guys were in bands because of the way they looked back then.
Sure.
Either they played an instrument or they were a poser.
There you go.
I was a poser.
Where the guys look like girls,
So-
and the girls sometimes look like guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just going to the stage stop and just talking to people and networking, things like that. I just got to know these guys. Hey, you play this? You play?
That's how it works. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it just went from there, and somehow I ended up in a band with a guy named Bernard Desec, who had he had a great voice. He was kind of like borderline Mickey Thomas meets Jeff Tate.
Wow.
Damn, it's high praise there.
Yeah. I mean, he could wail.
Yeah.
I mean, we did stuff
Wayne's
like
World reference just went right through my head.
Would that be whalebone?
No, just the Wayne's World, they would say, "You whale."
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, we did stuff. We did Queensryche. We did Iron Maiden.
Well, shit, he had to be singing then.
Yeah.
And we did Heart.
Yeah.
And he hit all those.
Nice.
Cool. Male
Female
vocalist
parts.
singing Heart. That must have sounded cool.
Yeah. We had a few originals and stuff like that.
So I'm sorry, is this band was one you played with at Stage Stop?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. You probably said that, and I was
I
squirreling.
probably didn't. I probably skipped over it.
No, we'll blame Jeff.
But yeah, eventually we started playing at the Stage Stop. This is back when Rock 98 used to play original music for local artists. And we kind of got a little bit of a buzz, and people started coming to see us. But eventually that just kind of floundered.
Yeah.
Just like some things usually do.
It happens
So-
more often than not, right? Bands flounder and just go away.
Yeah. So
While we're on the topic of Stage Stop, you had mentioned before the show started the band room.
Yeah.
You had some stories about that. Tell 'em.
yeah, this was when I was playing with Bernard. Our bass player, a guy named Jim Dickens, he all of a sudden goes, I got Luther Vandross is about to come over here and visit us. And I'm like,
Huh?
huh? The Luther
Is this like the
Vandross?
Steve-O thing? Is it a different Luther?
No, this is,
No, this is
this is
legit.
the,
Is it?
this is the Luther. So we're all kind of looking at each other going, are you sure?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, whatever. About an hour later, this limo comes pulling up in front of the Stage Stop band house. It's like ghetto area. And I'm like, this guy's probably thinking, what am I doing here? Because he got directions to come here by Jim. But yeah, he comes out of his limo. He's talking to us, and we met Luther Vandross for probably about 30 minutes and talked to him. He never came in and listened to us play. I'm sure this guy's probably thinking, why do I want to come in here and
Well,
listen?
how did that even come to be?
Jim knew him, and I don't even know how he knew him.
So random.
It's extremely random.
It was very random.
Yeah. And then that's it. He just drives off and
He meets us, talks to us for a while, and says adios.
see you later.
Yep.
That's wild.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Never heard back from him.
Nope, he never called me back.
No record deal.
Yeah, he didn't hire you guys as his R&B band backup.
No, I think he passed away shortly after that.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's right. He did pass away that long ago. Wow.
He's not going to hear this.
Don't have to worry about him coming and cussing y'all out.
Damn it.
But before we move on from Stage Stop, do you have a good Nita story?
Nita, man, I loved her. I had a lot of respect for Nita, but I think she also had a lot of respect for me. She would always compliment me, not as a musician, as a drummer, or anything like that, but as the guy that was always on time when it came time to set up and do sound check. She would always go, I don't know why these other musicians can't get it straight. You're the only person that I know that shows
Called
up on
weed.
time.
Yeah, what a novel concept, showing up on time, right?
Yeah.
Ronnie Knight's a pro.
Yeah. But
Well, that's awesome that she did that, though, because that showed you early on that matters.
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it does.
And it does matter.
It's always been, what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And Mama Nita also approved of us, so we
Yeah.
got the mama blessing.
Well, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's true.
Yeah, that's great.
So cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever get squirted with the water gun?
I don't think I ever did.
Okay.
I did. She did kick me out of there one time.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's back,
Were you
What
late?
did you do,
Were you
Ronnie?
late that day?
This guys being dumb,
Yeah.
and we're carrying little Jack Daniel bottles in our jackets. and
being a
stuff,
little sneaky.
And then one of the guys that worked the door saw it or whatever and told her, and she's like,
Come here, boy.
you need to leave, you and your friend. Don't come back till next weekend.
Mama grounded you.
For 1 week.
Yeah, I'm lucky. It could have been worse. She could have said,
Oh,
don't come back ever.
Yep.
Ever.
Yeah.
Which she has
She was
done,
famous for
done
that.
for some people.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I did not know her at all, but all the stories we've heard, it seems like she was a good balance of sternness, like these are the boundaries, don't fuck around,
Right.
but very loving, supportive, understanding in other sides too. Would that be correct?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, she didn't take any crap from people.
Yeah.
If she'd see somebody in the crowd booing or whatever, she'd come up to him and say, I'm going to boo you out of here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough business in general, and
And for a female to be running it,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew she had some balls.
she had to.
Yep.
She had to be tough.
Yeah.
Yep.
In order to deal with all that
Yeah, and all
craziness.
these egos of, musicians and
Yeah,
so,
but just
I mean,
staff and everything.
Yep, and us
Yeah.
underage girls trying to sneak, shots into the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh God! Yeah, here we go. Were you one of those, Becky?
No, I was a complete angel.
Sure. Oh, if you were only listening, Ronnie had a great look on his face. Well, next, we briefly threw out like Night Moves and Rascals and all these other locations that come up a lot. So tell us about those stories.
Yeah.
Or bands that you played with in those locations.
Yeah. So before that, I'm kind of leading to this couple of bands that I ended up playing with. But at the Stage Stop, there was a band called Vienna that had a female singer, drummer by the name of Trey Bruce, and bass player named Jerry Dean.
Okay.
I'm there at the Stage Stop. I'm watching this band, and here's this guy playing a Steinberger bass.
Mm-hmm.
Like Geddy Lee from back in the 80s, and he played like Geddy Lee. He played like a cross between Geddy Lee and Jack Bruce.
There you go.
And I was like, that's the kind of guy I want to play with. And lo and behold, a couple months later, a buddy of mine said, hey, I know a band looking for a drummer, and here's the guys, and it's a band called 901. This is before 901 Rocks.
Right.
Way before.
But this band still rocked.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
We
I mean, I had to.
No,
So-
that wah, wah, wah. It fell flat.
Probably better. Hey, not all dad jokes land.
No.
So, yeah, I joined that band with Jerry and a guy named Lee Miller. And then eventually Jerry asked me, he said, hey, man, I know a guy that is looking to do some pickup gigs and stuff, a guy named Steve Engel. Steve Engel is, you know, a lot of people in Memphis know Steve from Southern Creed and Creed. And he said, you want to get with him and just kind of go over some stuff and see how it works out. So we went and rehearsed. And here I am. I'm playing these songs like Firecracker and Wrong Time. And this is stuff, you know, I heard on the radio when I was a teenager. I was like, man, this is cool. I'm playing this stuff with the guy that wrote it, you know? So we put that together. We didn't even have a band name. We started playing at places like Rascals. And I think they just billed it as Steve Engel. And then one night Jerry got on the mic and said, the name of the band is Triple X. And I was like, okay.
There you go.
You know, there you go. So I played with Triple X. I was playing with 901 at the same time. I was doing filling gigs with Bernard Dissect. I was a band whore back then, you know.
Yeah. The current Josh Haynes.
I was the
band
drummer.
whore.
I was the drummer Josh Haynes of the late 80s. There was a band called Xavion that I did a 2-week stint with. A lot of people remember Xavion from the 80s. They had, you know, a pretty decent hit called Eat Your Heart Out that was on MTV and stuff. That was a lot of fun. I was the only white guy. We're traveling down to Florida, and Dexter Haygood, the lead singer, he's yelling out when we stop, make sure you play nothing but black music for that white boy. I was like, okay.
You got schooled.
Yeah. So yeah, I went to one of their shows and had the sound guy record the show.
Nice.
So I went back home and just learned the show.
Nice. Yeah.
We got to Florida, set up, started playing about song 3. Dexter's looking back at me going,
Yeah, this white boy's got it.
that was a lot of fun.
So the next on the list was Todd Poole.
Todd and I are second cousins. My mom, his dad are first cousins. We didn't really, you know, see each other growing up and stuff like that. We knew of each other. And, you know, my aunts would say, you know, your cousin Todd plays drums too, you know, all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. So, and then I started seeing Todd playing out. He was...
as a drummer.
Actually, I never saw him play drums until after I joined Roxy Blue.
Okay, we'll get to that for sure. Okay. So when you see him at first, is he singing?
Yeah.
Just stop singing.
Yeah,
just
he was singing. And, you know, my band was, I forget what band I was in, was opening up for his band, which was called Looker.
Okay.
We got done playing. I come down, I go to the back, you know, stage top, and he goes, hey, cuz, man, you're pretty good. You know, like, they appreciate it, you know. So somewhere down the road, I'm at the stage top band house practice room with one buddy of mine, and Todd just pops in. I'm like, we know what he's doing.
Conveniently.
So he starts talking to me. It's me and a guy named Billy Giannini. Next thing you know, we form a band with Todd.
Okay.
And it was me, Billy, Todd, and Charlie Eves. I don't know if you
I know Charlie.
You know Charlie? Yeah. So Charlie was playing bass.
I do not know Billy Giannini, but that is a
Hell of a
musician name if there ever was one.
Yeah.
Billy Giannini.
Yeah.
Yeah, Billy was great guitar player. He was one of my best friends. He passed away about 6 years ago in a car wreck. A lot of people from the Memphis music community know who he is. But yeah, we played briefly in that band. It was, I think Charlie didn't want to play bass. He wanted to go do his own thing. Billy was playing with some other folks. So me and Todd kind of stuck together. And we formed another band. And I grabbed one guy out of 901, Lee Miller on keyboards and guitar. We got Hal McCormick on guitar. And I forget the name of the band. It was that good. Cover Girl was the name of the band.
Okay.
Silly name. We did that for a while and kind of fell apart. And then me and Hal McCormick, for some reason, Hal asked me to start playing drums for a band called M. Slider. M. Slider was an all-original act. Had some really good songs. They had a keyboard player at the time I saw him playing, but when I joined, they took the keyboard player out and put it to tape.
Oh,
so
early days of playing to a track.
Yeah, there was some Milli Vanilli stuff going on. I think there was even some vocals in it too, but
which probably was kind of unheard of back in that day on a local level. I know the big national acts have been doing it forever, but yeah, that must have been a different thing, and I'm sure engineering wise and technically wise, totally different than how you can do it now.
Yeah, so Scotty T was the singer.
Okay.
Who ended up being the drummer for Roxy Blue, we'll talk about. But Scott's sister, Kim Trammell, was the one running the tapes on the side. She was, God, I don't know, she may have been 12, 13 years old back then.
So the track was played via a cassette?
It was a reel.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of room for disaster, I would gather.
It was scary. For me, it was scary.
Oh, my gosh.
Because I'd look over to her and cue her when to start, and then it would come in and, and then count in, and I'm playing.
And you had in-ear monitors back there? Or were you using
headphones?
Like the actual cams?
Yeah. So I couldn't hear the band. I could just hear. I could hear. It was actually like a drum machine and the keyboards. So I was like playing to playing with the radio or something like that. So it was interesting. It didn't last long. I think that band kind of reached its course.
When playing with that reel-to-reel tracks, I mean, to this day, people have train wrecks and you have to turn the track off, and it's just because you fall off time and everything. Did that ever happen to y'all?
No, fortunately not.
Right. You need that experience,
I wasn't in the band long enough for that to happen.
Well, if you were there long enough, it would have happened.
It would have.
Nowadays, the drummer just left hand, click. But back then, you would have had to wave her down and be like, hey, hit the stop button.
But it was a little nerve-wracking because you knew that could happen any time. Or the tape could mess up and
skip and all kinds of stuff. Oh wow!
Like I said, the Milli Vanilli moment right then.
Make your butthole tighten up a little bit.
Sphincter.
So see, after that, Todd Poole, I believe he had a spec deal with Cotton Rose Studios, working with Nico Liris.
Okay.
And he needed a band. It was kind of like a solo project thing for him. And he was calling himself Todd St. James.
Okay.
He's going to love me for telling people that.
Todd St. James.
Todd St. James. So he needed a band. He recruited me, Jeff Adams.
Nice.
John Roth.
Nice.
Damn, he knew to hire. Yeah.
And a keyboard player named Gary Cathy. So all the songs were already written and recorded, at Cotton Rose Studios. They used drum machines and all that stuff. And it was basically, you guys learned this stuff because Todd was shopping for a record deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we rehearsed upstairs in Cotton Rose Studios back when I first did my little recording session, when I was 18 years old.
Must have been neat going back there after all those years.
So it was me, Todd, Jeff, John, and Gary. And we hashed that stuff out. And, of course, with Jeff and John, the background vocals, all that stuff was amazing. We did all the originals, and we also did a version of our own called "Tell Me Something Good," which, that we rocked that thing up. But Jeff and John they laid it down with the background vocals. It was so cool.
They're still doing it to this day. No, they're just amazing. Yep.
And there was one song we did called "Rockin' with the Radio" that was written by Outside Writer, and I actually ran into that song on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and I sent it over to Jeff. Said, "Hey, you remember that? It's kind of neat." It was very, very 80s and very keyboard Bon Jovi-ish.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Very, very Bon Jovi.
That's okay.
Back then, it was
nothing
cool.
wrong with that. Yeah.
That stuff was all over the radio and television at that time.
So we did one show, and it was for a producer showcase, and we opened up the show, and somebody decided they were going to put flash pods, at the beginning of our show. So the song starts off, it's got keyboards, da, 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 and I go, boom, like that, and I didn't know it was coming.
They didn't tell you this.
No, it about knocked my ass off the chair. I'm playing and everything. It's like everything kind of stopped for a minute and just went, So anyway, the gig went okay, except for one thing. Kenny Francis was working with me as a drum tech.
Okay.
And something was going on with my floor tom leg or something like that. And I'm looking over at him going,
come here.
Come help.
He comes running and he slid right into my cymbal stand, and my cymbal comes crashing on my head. And I'm
Kenny Francis.
Like this. I'm just playing in front of record, company execs.
Oh my God, Kenny, you were on the show, man. You never told that story.
That's right. He left that out.
You left that one out.
He probably don't remember it.
He's got so
I'm
many
sure he
stories
has to remember that.
I love Kenny though. He's a great guy.
Big
We love
friend
him.
of ours.
And
Yes.
So that fizzled out. Nothing really came up on it. So me and Todd were pretty much, without a band.
Right.
Well, Todd ended up renting the upstairs to Cotton Row. He had his bedroom and all that stuff, kitchen, and then we had the rehearsal room. Mm-hmm. And I hung out with him a lot there. So one day he comes up and he goes, "I got the guitar player, man." I'm like, "Who are you talking about?" He goes, "Man, it's some young guy, probably 19 years old, named Sid Fletcher." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So Sid shows up, and Sid's like, "I got my bass player too." It's Josh.
Oh, okay.
Josh Wild. And man, them boys could play.
So, excuse my ignorance here.
Right.
Are those three Roxy Blue?
Yep.
Okay, so now we're breaking into the sort of beginnings of
This
the
is how
beginnings.
Roxy Blue got formed. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, them boys could play, and me and Todd knew we had something. So, they came up with riffs and all this stuff, and Todd would start with the lyrics and melodies and all that stuff. And before you know it, we probably had about 4 or 5 songs. And this was, I think, October of '89. So I got a good story. So we first decided to.
So October of '89.
Yeah.
This is happening. It didn't take very long. This happened fast.
That shit blew up quick.
Okay.
So we had about 4 or 5 songs ready, and then one evening we're rehearsing, and I don't know who brought it in or how it happened, but somebody brought in some ecstasy.
Oh, here we go.
So
I'm listening.
now I do not condone.
Neither do I.
I just want to. Just telling a story.
It was the 80s.
Yeah.
It was the 80s, and we were a rock band.
That shit was around in the 2000s too, y'all. I wouldn't know.
Me neither. So, anyway, we're rehearsing, and here's 4 guys taking ecstasy together, which is...
I love you, man.
There was a lot.
Of course.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
you love everything.
So
it's blissful. Don't condone it, though.
Just say no, kids.
Just say no.
Will you quit doing drugs? No.
There you go. So you guys are partying.
Oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden Todd goes, man, I'm going to get Nico up here and listen to our new stuff. So Nico hadn't heard any of it.
Yeah.
So by that time, we are just wiped out. And Nico comes up. We're playing all these songs, and we're jamming, and we're loving it and everything. It's just good. Nico's standing there going, you guys are tripping, aren't you? We're like, yeah. But anyway, later,
you could tell.
I don't even know what happened the rest of
He
that
saw the
evening.
pupils in all your eyes. He's like, these guys are in outer space right now.
He saw the pupils and the smiling and all that stuff. And yeah, we're all out there. I love you, man. I love this band. This band's great. We're going to get a record deal.
And that love goes away.
And
I'm telling you.
I don't know what happened with the rest of that night, but I remember Nico. And then he goes, yeah, man, we need to get this stuff recorded. So time went on, the band's out playing, we're, writing more songs and stuff like that. We first had a keyboard player. We ditched it, not because of the person or anything like that. I remember sitting at Stage Stop, and me and Sid and Todd were watching Lord Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
And we just looked at it and said, man, we need to drop the keyboard player and just go harder and
heavier. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. Roxy Blue, to me, it kind of had a Van Halen feel to some of the stuff. I had 3 bass drums.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I had the Octobans. It was a nightmare for Kenny, but and you can hear my Alex
Right.
Van Halen influence, on stuff like Rockabye Baby on the demo.
When the album came out, a lot of people had criticisms about how it sounded like Van Halen. I totally disagreed with that. Van Halen influence was all over it, but I thought that was a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, hell.
I'm sure they weren't the only band, too, at that time.
I mean,
Van Halen was it.
They were. They were
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you listen to there's a demo, there's something on Want Some More that's got demos, and pretty much all the demo stuff I played on, you can tell my Alex influence on there with the shuffle stuff.
Right.
But yeah, we started playing out. Crowds were getting huge. Then Nico started working, to help get some label interest going on.
Right.
We first played a producer showcase in like April of 1990. So,
where at?
At the New Daisy.
Okay.
Yep. So you're talking.
I very well could have been at that show.
So you're talking about a 6-month span right there.
Right.
So
was Todd wearing assless chaps?
I think he was.
I was at that show. Thank you, Todd. Seriously, I was there. I remember it.
It's embedded in your memory.
And again, that's something you just can't shake.
Do you take that when you go to sleep?
Yeah.
So anyway, the band's getting a lot of interest. We're playing at the producer showcase. This is when things kind of got weird for me. So we're setting up or doing the sound check for that show. And I got a phone call, or somebody called up at the New Daisy and said, you need to go up to the office and get on the phone. Somebody's calling you, said there's an emergency. So my dad got real sick and was in the hospital, and they didn't think he was going to make it. And, I'm about to do one of the biggest shows of my life. So that happened, I did the show, so forth and all that, but
that must have been difficult.
Yeah.
To really focus.
And then right around that time, things started changing for me personally, because, I wasn't hanging out with the band as much anymore. I wasn't being one of the boys and all that stuff. And, my playing wasn't, up to where it needed to be honest, right then. I thought I played great.
But well, we all did.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I thought I could play drums, but a long time ago, I couldn't.
Yeah, I'm a bit, even back then, I'll admit, I mean, some of my studio work could have been better.
Yeah.
I hated being in the studio and having somebody stand and watch me.
Oh, I feel that.
I mean? Mm-hmm. That is one of the worst things. You're playing and somebody's standing right there going,
arms folded, like, oh boy,
motion,
getting judged with every hit.
Yeah, I'm not that way anymore. But back then I was, early 20s. It was it was kind of weird,
unnerving.
So all that was going on, and we did meet with Tom Zutot from Geffen that day, and he basically said, we need you guys to, cut some more songs and see what you got. Mm-hmm. So we did that. I was kind of like absent a little bit from the band because I was spending a lot of time with my dad and things, and he had gotten Guillain-Barré and basically paralyzed from the neck down and couldn't speak.
Oh my goodness!
He eventually came out of that, but he never was the same, and so forth. And I remember being out or going somewhere and people going, "Hey man, why aren't you hanging out with the band anymore? You're not being one of the boys." I'm like, "Fuck you." As time went on with the band, I kept trying to push forward, and doing my best. We never really had a rehearsal room that I could go to, as a drummer.
Right.
And what you call woodshedding.
Yep.
And work your parts and stuff like that. It was just always all four of us together, play songs. All four of us together, play songs. Not let me go work on this part for me, to do my stuff. We kept doing shows, and eventually we played for Geffen at the Stage Stop.
Okay.
That was probably around June or July of 1990.
And this all started in October of 89.
Yeah, so you're talking about 8 months.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's how fast it went. Mm-hmm. So
within 8 months, you're playing for Geffen.
Yeah, and they're telling you, after we got done playing, they said, welcome to Geffen Records.
Yeah.
So that was it. We're getting signed. We got a record deal. All right. So next thing you know, we're flying to Los Angeles. So, we go out to L.A., we meet the people of Geffen, we go upstairs and we meet the man, David Geffen.
Nice.
We just go sit up there at the desk, and he's on the phone. And he's sitting there talking, and he goes, just do whatever you want to. You're Michael Jackson.
Click.
Yeah. And we're like, I'm just talking to Michael Jackson. We're like, that's pretty cool.
Now, did Todd wear the assless pants to this meeting? It's a burning question.
I don't think he did.
Okay, good.
Oh, man.
We laugh now, but that was a cool sumbitch back then. He was, dude. I guarantee you the chicks were chasing him all over the place.
Man, I had to look at that shit.
Oh, that's right. You're right behind him. Why do you have your cymbals blocking you? I don't want to see in front of me.
Sid never ran behind Todd on stage. He stayed on his side.
The burning question is, was his ass tan?
Oh, God.
Or was it white?
I think it was tan.
Laying in the tanning beds.
We went to tanning beds back then. Those guys. Anyway, we're in L.A. And meeting the Geffen folks and everything. And, I'm telling you, just from personal, I was feeling a weird vibe.
Right.
So you're kind of already feeling like maybe this is kind of not going to work.
I'm not getting
for you. Yeah,
I'm not getting the vibe from the Geffen folks like I'm seeing them buddying up with the other guys.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was so weird. I'm in the Geffen office and everything, and there's platinum records of Appetite for Destruction just laying on the floor, laying around, And that was right around the time Steven Adler got fired from Guns N' Roses, and Matt Sorum replaced him.
Okay, yep.
And we were kind of talking about that, and one of the A&R guy goes, yeah, I never really liked the way he played anyway. And I'm like, really? Okay. Well, what do you think about my playing? You must really think I suck, man.
And I'll argue Steve Adler on that album is awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
He served all the songs wonderfully.
Matt Sorum, great. You know, very solid. But, Steven Adler had that swing to it.
Yeah.
You know?
He knew how to do a lot with less. He kept it simple.
Yep.
I don't think he was let go because of his playing. I think there was some other issues there.
Yeah. We know all of the drugs and all that stuff. But
you're feeling like he's kind of throwing a little shade, like a little hint.
Yeah. And then later, I think it's like the next night, we're hanging out at the Whiskey, and right around that time, we're kind of being good friends with the guys in Warrant.
Okay.
So I'm standing in the bathroom at a stall, and Jerry Dixon from Warrant standing next to me, going, "Yeah, Ronnie, yeah, man." And we're both standing there taking a piss. And he goes, "Yeah, I know they said." He said Charisma Records. He goes, "Yeah, they said Charisma Records is not going to sign you unless they if they replace you." So he said Charisma Records and not Geffen Records. And I was sitting there thinking, what's he talking about? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So me and him walk out together, and we're all standing there with Todd and everything. And Jerry starts looking at Todd and looking at me and going, "You need to keep this guy."
You're like, don't go there, man.
You're fucking up. He's just like our drummer, Bobby,
So he's kind of letting it out of the bag.
Yeah, and I'm like sitting there, and then I come down, and then Todd goes, "What did he say to you?" And I'm like, "Nothing." And it's like, I didn't know what to think of it.
Right.
Because he said Charisma Records, not Geffen Records.
Right.
But still, it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And then plane ride home, Todd and Sid have seats about 5-6 rows ahead of us, and Josh is there. Josh gets up and goes and sits with all them three the whole flight.
Oh, wow.
Like, something weird.
Yeah.
So we get back to Memphis. We got a big gig at Night Moves. This is going to be our first gig as Geffen recording artist Roxy Blue. All right. So, and right at that time, we got a rehearsal place too. So, a lot of the stuff with my dad had kind of calmed down. So I went in and I woodshed my ass off.
Sure.
So,
are you feeling a little pressure right now? Like,
yeah,
you're a little more determined. Like, I'm going to go here and kick some ass.
Let me get my shit together.
Right.
And be honest with you, that was probably, and they even Todd said it too, that that last gig with Roxy Blue was my best one.
Yeah.
But I think they had already made up their mind on something. So
it was the label that made up their mind for them, I'm sure.
I think it's part. Yes, it's real good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're a newly signed band. You're going to do what the label does.
It's not the only time this has happened. No. Labels are like, you got to do something about this position.
Very common.
And I remember I was in the rehearsal room, and it was like early in the day, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. That's early for musicians at that time. I'm in there working on stuff. Todd and Josh come in. Sid's not there. So they're like, "Hey, come on, let's talk to you." And I sit down, and they're like, "Well, we need to make a change." And then they told me, and then they said they were going to, they were getting Scotty T to replace, which Scotty, great drummer.
Yeah.
I knew him from In Slider.
Right.
And, had no hard feelings towards him about that. And that was their decision. And to be honest with you, it's kind of weird when they told me that. The first thing I thought of wasn't, you motherfuckers or anything like that. First thing I thought of is, I need to get a real job.
Yeah.
And I said, this music thing's not going to work for right now. So that happened. I basically stayed out of the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not getting out because I kept hearing, rumors. There's people on my side.
Right.
People on their side.
And if you go out, you're going to get peppered with questions.
I didn't want to be a part of it. I stayed out of the scene for a good year or two. And I laid low and, didn't play for a little while. And then out of the blue, a friend of mine named Mark Holt called me.
All right.
Oh, fanny pack.
Yeah.
Highlighted tips.
Yeah. Mark was playing with a band called Romeo Wild. And I'd seen Mark play years before the stage stop and everything. And he kind of convinced me to get back out and play, which I did. They were a cover band. They had some original stuff and everything. But I tell you what, it was fun getting out and doing that.
Yeah.
Especially, Mark is such a great guy. He's a funny guy. We went out of town a lot and, laughed our asses off until we were crying, with
The charisma of Marky Holt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mark Starr.
it probably felt good to play again, but also to be in a fun environment without that pressure and the weirdness and the feeling. I'm sure you felt judged, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
You can't not when you get let go for a reason like that. And it must hurt so much being like, well, I guess I suck or I'm not good enough for this, right? Like,
yeah, part of it is like that. And, the other part is I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks.
Yeah, good for you. Yes.
But, it was a weird time.
Yeah.
I mean, but thank God Mark called me and said, hey, man, you need to get out and play.
Yeah, good for him.
We did that.
Did that happen after the 10-year layoff, or did the 10-year layoff come after Mark contacting you?
It came after Mark.
Okay.
So,
all right, cool.
What caused that?
So, 94, I became a dad.
Yep.
I was working a day job that pretty much dictated my life.
Yeah.
I didn't know when I was going to get off and stuff like that. Just life in general. I just didn't have time to commit to playing in a band at that time. So, around 94... From 94 to 2004, I didn't really touch a drumstick.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the very last time I played, I sat in with Scott Sudbury and somebody else, and then Pete Mandello was the drummer. And that's the first time I met Pete. And I went up. Scott called me up and asked me to sit in on a few songs. Sat in on about 3 songs. Came down, and Pete, being Pete, and he was, doing it in a funny way. Where the fuck you come from? I'd kind of been out of the scene a little bit.
Right.
Even when I was playing with Mark, we were out of town a lot. So I basically took a 10-year break. I was worked for a company that really had no, work-life balance. I stopped playing for a while. 2004, I bought a new DW set. I had the money. I said, I'm going to get back into this.
Talking Jeff's language here. He's a DW guy.
Yep. Yeah. So got back into it. When I first started, I was like, oh, God. It was rough,
Yeah.
I mean, 10 years is quite some time.
Yeah, it's not.
A lot of dust collected, for sure.
I don't care what people say. It's not like riding a bike.
Nope.
Yeah, right. Everyone says that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that. Got back into playing. Tony Meharry called me. I started subbing for a band for him called Reckless.
Okay.
Was playing with Reckless. Todd Poole saw me playing with Reckless. He asked me to join another band called Stiff Kitty, which is we recorded an album with back in 2008, 2009.
Yep.
I was in and out of that band, we're all in our early 40s, and
So
we're going to get a record deal.
By this time, you're done with ecstasy, right?
Maybe
Temporarily.
But let's see. After that, I left. It was Stiff Kitty, Rail 714, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I left that. Jimmy Fulp stepped in for that. And me and the Triple X guys got back together and did, probably about 3-4 years of playing. And I think Steve Ingalls kind of wanted to retire from music. And then Paul Moreau, we were at our house. Paul.
Sorry, Paul, but I'm laughing at that.
We didn't do it.
We didn't do it. Don't go to TikTok, please. Don't go to TikTok.
Anyway, he was over at our house. Becky and I, she had it on Yacht Rock Radio. We were out at the pool and we're sitting around, and he goes, "Hey, man, would you be interested in playing this kind of music?" He goes, "Yeah, no, I was a rock drummer and everything." Right. And I think he expected me to say no. Because Paul and I, we did like a 3-piece Rush thing with Patrick O'Daniel one time. So he knew that.
Oh, nice.
Knew that's what I was into. I'm a big Neil Peart fan. But he's like, "You think you'd be interested in doing this kind of stuff?" I said, "Well, nobody does it, and it's kind of cheesy music. Yeah, some of it's cool. It's fun to play, some of it's real simple to play, and some of it, Boskag stuff, the Jeff Porcaro stuff,
right.
is fun to play." So he grabbed a couple people from Thump Daddy, and the next thing I know, we were, forming Rock the Boat.
What year was this? I know Paul told us this, but I'm a squirrel. So.
Well, we first started talking about it during the COVID year.
Okay.
2020. Okay. I think it was early 2021, January-ish.
Yeah.
Is when we got together and started, putting things together.
Yeah, I mean, because it was, I would say early 2021, a lot of venues were still buttoned up, right, on this stuff?
A lot of them were, but I think some of them were opening up because our first gig was actually Cinco de Mayo 2021 at Sidecar Memphis. Okay. And it was packed.
Yeah. Everyone's like, "We're done with this quarantine bullshit."
Yeah. So, that's the story on that. Rock the Boat, been with them for ever since 2021,
Very cool.
And I love playing with all those guys.
Yep.
All professional.
Yeah, and there's a place for that genre too. It's very,
sure.
It's a good listen,
Yeah, I mean, it's good music, it's all that matters. And people dig it.
And you all played in Hernando last summer, or last September.
Yep.
And I'm in relations with the Arts Council that hosts that, so I was actually the one that, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I got you guys booked there.
Yep.
I bring it up because the feedback was fantastic for y'all.
Thank you.
100%.
Yeah. We had a blast. And, it's 5 minutes from my house, too, and worked.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
It's always a good
easy
thing.
peasy, yeah.
Easy load in, load out.
Yeah, it's a good little payday. It's Thursday night. It's chill. Nice. So, well, Ronnie, thank you so much for, opening up about all this stuff and the Roxy Blue situation. I think it's important to people to hear that story because it's a real story that's happened to a lot of musicians out there.
Yeah.
A lot of musicians. And the moral of that story is don't give up on yourself.
That's right.
Keep your confidence because just because you're not quote unquote good enough for that situation doesn't mean that you're not good.
Yeah. And just to be clear on that also, I had never had any hard feelings with any of those guys whatsoever.
Gotcha.
I respected their decision,
And there's another lesson to be learned there too, because it can go the other way.
Yep.
And that can be, you can get really butthurt and you could hurt relationships.
Well, and you never know what the future is going to bring with opportunities either. You don't know if with those guys or some version of that, you might end up playing with at some point.
There was a possibility, even after Sid left Roxy Blue, he called me about starting something. At that time, I was like, I'm not sure.
And thank God back then there was no Facebook.
Yes. Yep. Oh, my God. Could you imagine?
Oh,
because then insane. That's when things get ugly.
I would have had to deactivate my account.
And only 35mm cameras were back then.
I love those guys. And
cool. Well,
we're going to take a couple of minutes here to give Becky the floor.
Yeah. So, again, thanks for hanging out and
just chilling with us today,
Absolutely.
Becky. You know Becky by now. I mean, she's been on the show. She's a pro.
No.
She's been here before. But now, yes, now we are post Thomas Halfacre benefit.
Yep.
So I wanted to give you the opportunity as you were up here already. So what would you like to say about it?
Well, basically, I just want to thank every single person that was involved with this project. It was amazing to see the outpouring of love for Thomas, because he loves all you guys and would do anything in the world for y'all. Now it's his turn to be able to have that love paid back to him. So,
boy, did it come.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I have never, ever in my life seen, so many things donated, seeing, everybody hit that bucket from Rick, being able to just, collectively love him and support him, because that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, just all the people that were involved. I mean, Cindy Wilson is a freaking rock star in my eyes.
Agreed.
I mean, everything that I saw her do, I mean, she had her hands in everything, because, her phone was blowing up all the time, and to be able to maintain her cool was incredible. So, giving us the opportunity to be at Roosters, opening the doors for that, having to manage her staff like usual, and then turn around and have, all these
It was a full house,
parts.
by the way.
Yeah, it was all these moving
a
parts.
lot of people to feed and serve.
Sure. And then, and they did a fantastic job. I love her staff, just great people. And then, Rick Hale stepping in, pretty close to the time, and he does what he does.
Pay attention.
Yes, exactly. So he was definitely doing the carnival barking for the
That's
donations.
That's a great way to say
stuff.
it, carnival barking.
It really was like a 3-ring circus.
That's
Sean.
it, carnival barker.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's just the perfect man for that job,
Absolutely.
But he's got a big, big heart, and,
yes,
he loves to, get people involved and help with that. And then, with Scott Sudbury and Paul Moreau, I mean, the incredible lineup of getting those bands back together was just unheard of. And I know Thomas, when we talked about doing this benefit back in August between me and Cindy Wilson, he specifically wanted some of those people to be involved, and then it just kind of again put on halt because of the fact that he was doing good. So when I called Cindy, she was just like, okay. And then like 3 weeks later, we're going to Vegas, and I'm like, okay, y'all need to give me a little bit of time to be able to get this auction thing going. But that was the largest auction for a benefit I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
There was like not enough table space.
Yeah, it was you, as soon as you walk in, boom, to your left was more auction items, to your right was the bake sale, and then down the hall to the main room was all auction items.
Yeah, Charlie and Ben, oh my gosh, it was incredible to see how many baked goods that they brought in and what they contributed. I was just like, and they actually kept me really just, threw it out, everything, because it was chaotic. I mean,
them chocolate chip cookies were good.
Oh my God. And the white chocolate macadamia nuts and the brownie bites. Oh, now I'm hungry.
Excuse me.
But yeah, it was just incredible. And every one of you guys that had come out, even if you couldn't be there and gave, it was just, it was a definite burden to take off of Thomas to have those finances for the next few months while he's fighting.
Right.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, well done.
I'm just
Memphis.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
great way to
blessed.
say it, because we can thank individuals, we can thank Roosters as a venue, and everyone, but as a whole, as a community,
Yes.
damn, from me and Jeff's perspective, since we started this show, we've seen this before at different levels, and once again, damn, the way you all, I'm saying everyone that watches, listens, whether you're a musician, a band, or a sibling, or a friend, or a wife, or a husband, just friends, people that just go see music on a regular basis, y'all show up.
Right.
Man, when it's needed, you guys show up. It's pretty remarkable.
Yep.
It really is. And thanks for all that you did for it.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to miss anyone. I don't want to. Is there anyone else you wanted to include, or? Okay, we're
Just
good.
everybody.
Yeah,
that was
we covered
involved.
it. We covered
There's
everybody.
A lot of moving parts.
Everybody, and then Ronnie Knight, man, thank you,
brother. Thanks for
awesome.
coming.
Thanks for having me.
You're walking around great. You're moving along.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, man. You're going to get back in the saddle.
Yeah.
Or the throne. Literally. Back on the throne here. And
the drum throne.
That's right. That's right. There's good point.
Well, you have your moments.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, before we say goodbye, all right, we got some business to take care of here. So please, as always, follow us at therhythmsectionpod.com. There you're going to find our full catalog of episodes, links to our YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram.
Yeah, thanks to our sponsors. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor, you can email us at therhythmsectionpod2022@gmail.com or reach out to us on Facebook. This season is soon coming to an end, but there will be another one, and we'll need sponsors for that.
Absolutely. So line up, everybody.
Yeah, come on.
And and you know what? We have a virtual tip bucket. You know, it's different. We're not a band, but we work for tips too, right? So we have Venmo at Motivate with
No, wrong podcast.
Wrong podcast. You can go to at Motivate with Coach Camp too.
Sure.
But we are at the Rhythm Section Pod on Venmo and Cash App. Links are in the description.
It's been a long day.
It's been a great day, been a great weekend. And then thanks again to everyone that showed up to our 100th. That was awesome. But once again, Ronnie Knight in the house.
Yes.
Thank you for all the stories.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for visiting again.
Thank you.
Becky. And
you guys get out and see Rock the Boat.
Yes.
Or any other band.
Any band. Plenty of options out there and all great. Take care, everybody.
Thanks.